Hello and welcome to the gorgeous Blue Cross Centre here at Burford. Now I'm joined by Blue Cross team member Jess. So Jess, in this video we're going to be chatting a little bit about the 5 domains. So first of all, what are the 5 domains?
So the 5 domains cover everything that you would do within the management of your horse to keep them as happy as possible. So they cover nutrition, health, behaviour, environment, and they all feed into the last domain, which is the mental state of the horse.
And why is it important for myself and the lovely viewers looking at home to know about the 5 domains?
So they cover everything within your horse's management and everything that you can do to ensure your horse is as happy as possible.
So first domain, Jess, nutrition, and we've got this trolley full of goodies in front of us. Just tell me a little bit about nutrition.
So nutrition obviously covers everything that your horse is eating and drinking. So ideal nutrition would obviously be that they would live out in a field and they would have as much grass as they possibly can. But obviously with domesticated management of horses, we have to give them supplements for that to make sure that they're getting what they need. So in terms of supplements, we're talking about just basic forage. So hay, we've got some haylage here, that sort of thing.
So you've gone straight to forage rather than straight to hard feed. Is that what we should be thinking about at home?
Absolutely. So in the wild, a horse will graze for most of the day, and so we just need to be able to provide them with the basic forage for them to be able to eat for as much of the day as possible.
So if your horse isn't getting a well-balanced diet or enough forage into its system, how will we know that with our horses at home?
So your horse might start to show some behaviour changes because it's hungry, or it also might start to have an impact on their health as well.
Next domain, Jess, environment. We've obviously spoken about nutrition, but environment is equally important.
Absolutely. So your environment is where you're going to be keeping your horse. So behind us we have some fields, and horses like to be turned out in fields because they can graze and they can move, which is something that they would do in the wild, and also they can be turned out with friends, so you've got that social element going on there as well. Obviously we do know that some people would like to keep their horses in stables, which we have this way. So here we are at the stables, which is obviously another environment that you could keep your horse in. So you can use a stable as like a shelter environment from your horse. You can keep it out of the elements, and it's also just easier for some people to be able to manage their horses within a stable.
And I certainly know all my horses at home are their own individual and have their own sort of routine in terms of environment. Is that something we should look towards, making it a bit personalised, or is there a rule for every horse?
Yeah, absolutely. Some horses really won't like the confinement of a stable because it means that they're not able to express that movement that they would in a field. But for other horses, it can work.
And the environment itself, I've been to certainly some livery yards whilst coaching, and it can be a little bit of a tense environment. Is that something we have to consider as well?
Yeah, definitely. It can really affect some horses if that atmosphere is sort of quite busy and stressed. And so some of them would prefer to live out in that environment or move to maybe a different yard that's a bit quieter.
And how could someone in that environment, they can't move their horse, but perhaps just try and make it more relaxing for the horse in general?
So you could try and have your horse turned out at the busier times within that yard, or you could provide different things within the stable to keep the horse a little bit happier, some enrichment perhaps, that sort of thing.
And what type of things would they be? What stimulus could the horse use to make it more relaxed?
So you can use different types of like feeding enrichment, so you can hang things from the stable, that sort of thing. You could have a radio on for a little bit of background noise to keep a sort of calmer music on the go in the background, sort of thing.
Sounds like an environment I'd happy to be in.
Definitely.
So Jess, obviously a really big topic here in this domain, health domain. What are the main things you want people to think about?
So obviously health will cover the horse's health, as says on the tin. But we just want to be thinking about keeping an eye on your horse, getting to know your horse really well, noting any changes within your horse, whether that be like cuts or grazes or any sort of behavioural changes that you think might be to do with pain or that sort of thing, and to just get your vet involved at the earliest opportunity, even if you just give them a call for some advice or they need to come out and do something for you.
So I guess it's important just having a good team of people around you if you're perhaps not the most knowledgeable when you come to horses later in life.
Absolutely, yeah, just making sure that you know some people that have some knowledge and skills to be able to help you with your horse should you need it.
And what would be, I'm going to put you on the spot here, perhaps the first few things you'd be thinking about when you first get a horse to check?
So if you were getting a new horse, we would definitely recommend that you should isolate it when you first get it to make sure that there's nothing that it's going to bring to your new yard, any diseases, that sort of thing, and to just spend plenty of time with your horse, getting to know what's normal for your horse, particularly things like temperature would be brilliant to know what your horse's normal temperature is, so that then if it was showing some symptoms that it wasn't feeling too good, that it's something you could refer back to.
Perfect, thank you very much. So Jess, the fourth domain is behaviour. How does that one work in relation to the three we've had already?
So behaviour covers the horse being able to exhibit its natural behaviours. So what it would do in the wild, we need to be able to replicate that as best as we can.
So how can we best replicate that, obviously, because we're not going to have horses in the wild, and a field is amazing, but it's not a substitute exactly.
Yeah, so it's bringing things from all the other three domains we've discussed already and trying to enrich their environment as best we can to sort of simulate things that they would do in the wild. So for instance, a horse that maybe wouldn't be able to walk as much as it would like to in the wild, you might start to see behaviours such as box walking. So it's just noting those sort of behaviours and doing any management changes you can for them to be able to show those natural behaviours as best as possible.
So Jess, in our way of training them and working with them, be it in hand or on board, are there any ways we can change the way that we work with them so that they can, you know, do behaviours they would normally in the wild?
Yeah, so absolutely. So you could use your ridden work to provide that movement for them so that they can move about as much as possible. And you can also think about, again, the herd mentality, the social element of it, and make sure they've always got a friend available to them so that they can show as best natural behaviours as possible when you're riding them.
So hacking in company would be a good thing?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So Jess, the fifth and final domain is the mental part of it all. Am I right in thinking that the four that we've already had really do lead into this one?
Yeah, absolutely. So the mental domain covers the mental state of the horse. So essentially that's how happy the horse is. And without the other four being at their best, the mental state can't be at its best either.
So what would be some simple ways for me and everyone looking at home to think that their horse is perhaps suffering in this area?
So you might see some behaviour changes within your horse, so they might appear quite withdrawn or subdued, or they could show some flight behaviours such as trying to run back to their field to see their friends because they don't feel like they're happy enough in their environment.
And is there anything specifically we can do to help horses in this area, or really is it a result of the other domains?
It's definitely a result of the other domains. It's just about managing all four of the others as best as you can for your individual horse in order for them to be as happy as they can.
Perfect, thank you so much. I feel like through learning about the 5 domains, it's stuff that I do with my horses naturally, but perhaps actually just giving a bit of an example to all of them makes me actually isolate perhaps where the problem is a little bit more.
Exactly, yeah.
Perfect. I hope you've all enjoyed learning about this as much as I have here, so thank you very much again.